I want to talk about relationships. This isn't going to take long. This isn't even going to cover the full spectrum. This is just me giving like my 2 cents. You know what I'm saying? This is my add-on to the conversation, to a conversation that I don't tune into all that often. I just, I peep my head in the door, in certain conversations, and there are certain things that I receive, and so here it is. Like, we live in the day and age where we have so much access to, pretty much whatever we desire, which is based upon values that have been instilled within us, things that have influenced us. Back in the days of our forefathers and our foremothers, things were very much different. Things were simpler. It was simpler times. It was still crazy, You still had, like, when I say simpler times, that has nothing to do with the, the things that humans were doing. Simpler times just means, there were times where, you had to be fully absorbed within your reality, within the participation of your reality. Like, if you wanted anything, you had to get hands-on. You had, like how I'm doing, walking, traveling, long distances. You had to be fully absorbed and do the knowledge constantly of your environment. We live in a day and age where you don't even have to think for yourself anymore. You don't have to think. Everything is already taken care of for you. So that does something to the psychology of humans. That does something to us. And when it comes to relationship, like back in the day, you didn't see that many people. Like nowadays, it's like you could go, by the end of the year, you would have seen your mind would have taken in millions of faces, millions upon millions of faces through social media, through the television and things like that. Back in the day, and even before, especially before TVs, before you could see without relying on your true vision. Back then, you didn't, there was those immediately around you and people within your community and people that you would meet if you used to travel abroad. So, living in those times, anybody that walked into your circle, you know what I'm saying? You absorbed that person. You absorbed everything about that person. You embraced that person in both body, mind, and spirit. You see, so interactions had way more meaning. They were much more meaningful. When we talk about finding that special someone, again, we get into that searching mentality, searching for Jesus mentality, right? Searching outside of ourselves. When back then, people wasn't concerned with searching for that special someone. people was focused on fucking surviving and, you know what I'm saying, doing what they need to do as a daily living. And whoever, you know, whoever piqued your curiosity after meaningful interactions throughout, you know, over time, then it become, oh, they doing haunted houses over here. Over time, the relationship builds, it grows naturally. We don't have that now. Now, people engage in relationships no different than how, you know, if I want a relationship, if I want to interact with somebody, the way, you know what I'm saying, the way in which we go about it is no different than, oh, I'm hungry, let me go to the grocery store and grab a snack. See, back then, you couldn't do that. Back then, you had to work and produce that which you wanted to consume, or that which you wanted to sell so that others can consume, or trade or barter. You don't have that nowadays. Matter of fact, the closest thing we have to that in this day and age is the brothers and sisters who are doing, you know what I'm saying, who, quote, you know, they say they're in the field, they're doing, you know what I'm saying, they're hustling, they're, you know, they're out there in the streets trying to make their living and shit. That's the closest, you know what I'm saying, that's the closest connection to the simpler times. The only difference is we're in a system of control that constantly seeks to negate that. See, people look at what we do in the streets and they be like, okay, they're doing such and such and such and such. But that such and such that they're doing, those actions that they're engaged in, they engage in those activities to the capacity, to the same degree of the resistance that is against them. If there was no cops to constantly police the damn hood, you see what I'm saying? And not even that. If there wasn't a policing of the resources that people need to survive, there wouldn't be no fucking crime. You see what I'm saying? There wouldn't be no crime. So it's like always engaging into, like, there's a duality to everything. But I'm not even, the focus of this dialogue was about relationship. Well, I guess when you talk about relationship, we could go beyond just the relationship, what will become eventually, which will go from a human interaction, a typical interaction between two parties, to eventually a union, a sexual, blissful connection. So I guess we could expand this into the collective interaction, the collective relationship, the way we react and interact with one another and how we project upon one another. Because that's what it's really all about. And so, yeah, you know, consider that. And also the fact that back then, back in the day, your interactions had way more meaning. You know, that man or that woman that you meet, you're going to remember them. Half the people you see now, you don't even remember them. You don't remember their name. You don't remember anything because everything's moving so fast. Everything's moving so fast, you know what I'm saying? Like, you know, we're social cattle. You know, in that regard, like, you know, it's like our bodies are traveling the way it travel, but mentally it's like we're being constantly shipped off to places. Have you noticed that, like, your mind is like enchained? Your mind is like in chains, and you're constantly, like how you see those prisoners traveling, you know what I'm saying? They be exchanged from, you know, prison to prison, and they have to get on that bus. You see what I'm saying? That's how we are mentally. Our minds are constantly being shipped off to places, to destinations not of our choosing. So what I'm trying to say is, back then it wasn't like that. So people had more control over, you know what I'm saying, their engagements with people. And so where I'm getting at is pretty much everything now is artificial. Not only is everything that we consume is artificial, the information we also consume is artificial. The solutions that we seek to come up with is based upon circumstances that are artificial. And by artificial, I mean strategically engineered to keep us at a detriment. Right? Like, there's a difference between, okay, I'm hungry, or me and my tribe have to survive, so we're going to come together and come up with a system to where we can, you know, create the things we need, create the resources we need to survive. There's a difference between that and, okay, you know what I'm saying, we're hungry, my tribe is hungry, but we're going to go over to this system, you know, we're going to rely on somebody else's system, a system that is rendered to not, you know, not for our survival. You see what I'm saying? It wasn't, you know, that idea, that system that we're going into it didn't come from my tribe. It came from somewhere else, right? And it didn't have my benefit in mind. So, that's not even like, that's just a